Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone. It's time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're so happy to see you again. I'm Tina Prigge, Vagabond Creative Studio. This is Kristin Odell, KLO LLC. How's it going this morning, Kristin?
It's going today. I'm pouring the coffee in the system. I've got my Green Bay Packer mug today because we're going into cheers. We're going into playoffs, baby.
Exciting, isn't it? I love it when the Packers are in the playoff, and wouldn't it be amazing if they could go all the way?
That's what I'm telling myself. We're gonna run the table and go all the way. We've got to believe.
It's just so exciting, whenever there's a championship like that in our state, I don't know, just elevates the enthusiasm. The celebration is awesome.
I agree. So I'm using my Green Bay mug today. This
Good
is one of my
morning,
faves
Steven.
too. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it is like curved a little bit. There's something ergonomical, and I wipe makeup off my finger. I'm off my eye today. There's also something ergonomical about the big handle, and I don't know.
You just have the best cups, Kristin.
Aww.
Good morning, Mary. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, there's nothing like a nice warm cup of coffee on a cold winter day.
Anytime there's hot coffee in a cup, it's a good day.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, like, I can be super grumpy. I can be curmudgeon-y. I can be hot. I could be cold. But if it's wintry and I've got a hot cup of coffee, it's all right. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Are you cream and sugar in your coffee?
Just cream. How about you? You're black, aren't you?
I can drink my coffee anyway. But I mean, the nicest treat is often if I put a little cream and a little sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that sometimes if I do that, it actually tides me over and then I don't eat breakfast.
Yes. I have been in a period of fasting in the morning right now in an effort to maybe shed some of the holiday cheer. And so, yes, I choose to substitute my intake in the morning with coffee as well.
Yeah, my son is now 16, so I can no longer refer to this as baby weight. I've got
I love it.
So we're talking about the snow. The snowfall this weekend was so beautiful. It was all like sparkly and it kind of glinted like diamonds. It was so moving that my 16-year-old, who's like into video games and really couldn't care about some of this stuff, he's like, "Mom, you've got to come outside and see how beautiful the snow looks."
I think that's super cool that he pulled you outside. Second of all, I totally agree with him. It was light and fluffy and sparkly. And like, I saw one of my aunts yesterday and she said her son cleared snow with this leaf blower. It was that really dusty fine. The other thing about this is, and you can see this in Tina's picture a little bit, it was so sparkly. Like, you can almost see the individual snowflakes in this picture.
Yeah, actually you can. You can see different little like star shapes. It's really quite beautiful.
Yeah.
And even all day as it was snowing, it was just falling down like so gently. It almost felt like we were in the midst of a snow globe during the day.
It totally was snow globy. At times it almost looked like it was like hanging in the air. We took Saturday to I would say be somewhat lazy during the day. We don't do this often. We're typically an on-the-go kind of family, but Doug and I kind of sometimes on Saturdays we do a workout. So I went to yoga, he went to CrossFit in the morning, and then like the rest of the day, the girls and I watched movies. The girls stayed in pajamas all day. They wore one set of pajamas until like 4 o'clock, and then they took showers and put new pajamas on. And they were like, "Can we put our snow pants on?" Because they did play outside for a little bit. They're like, "Can we put our snow pants on over pajamas?" And I'm like, "Heck yes, you can. You go for it." And it was fun. We watched a couple of different movies during the day, one of them being Encanto, which is a new Disney movie. It was very cute.
Tell me about that. I've seen the previews, but I haven't seen the movie.
I would say that it is Hispanic or Mexican themed. And it's the idea that a family received, so the mother had hardship and the family received miracles, and one of the girls doesn't receive a miracle when she's little, and she has to figure out what her role is in the family. And it was very cute, and had a very nice ending. And we popped popcorn and hung around.
Aw.
And as I said to you a few minutes ago, we were very lazy during the day, and it felt nice because we don't do that often enough.
Yeah, but I think it's so beneficial to have days like that. And I know we like are kind of trained to call it a lazy day, but that makes it seem like maybe we're getting away with something or like really we shouldn't be doing that. But I think we really should be having days like that. It's so
For
important and
sure.
just to share that time together and to sort of unplug and to recharge your batteries.
Hmm. It was good. I did feel lazy because, when you're sitting at home, there's like a thousand things you could be doing. But at the same point, I was like, no, this just is so much fun today. And the girls obviously loved it. And Doug did a couple of errands, but he got home and I'm like, laundry doesn't need to be done. Whatever doesn't need to be done, come watch a movie with us. So he was like, okay, I'll come watch a movie with you. So it was
Did you
nice.
say you had a fire going too?
Well, we have a gas fireplace, but yeah, we turned our fireplace on and, you know,
Yeah,
blankets, the whole deal. It just was very relaxing.
yeah.
Um, and
Everybody should have a full jammy Saturday from time to time.
Yeah, for sure. And Sunday, there was a lot of football on. So we did church in the morning, but then the rest of the day was football and relaxing with family too. So it was a good recharging kind of weekend.
Mary pointed out that they took down their tree. So that is an awesome thing to do. I always take mine down by New Year's Day. Jason's birthday is New Year's Day. So I feel like there should be a distinct, like, delineation between Christmas and then Jason's birthday. So I've always got that motivation. So mine always comes down. How about you? Do
Very
you still have
nice.
yours?
Yeah, we had a real tree. We took that down the weekend after New Year's. Or maybe we maybe took it down the second, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Um, but then we have an artificial tree that's kind of in our kitchen area, and I will leave that up until the end of January because
Hmm.
it's red and green. It's still like wintry, and we have reindeer stuff out, and so that will stay up till the end of this month for sure.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
you
Hey,
can't beat that soft light of a Christmas tree. So
Stephen asked this question. Have you seen the 1,000-foot cargo ship anchored right out by the lighthouse on Lake Michigan? I have not. I don't know anything about it.
I have not either. And then Doug Schwalbe just replied that it left this morning for Sturgeon Bay. So now, if you wanted to see it, you have to go to Sturgeon Bay.
Wow, I was not aware of that.
I know,
Cool.
I'm kind of
Stephen,
bummed I missed
thanks.
it. I was downtown yesterday. How did I miss that?
I know, me too. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, so we're talking about snow, and Kristin, you sent this memory from last year, which is awesome. When we were talking all about kayaks and the right vehicle to transport a kayak, and this image still just totally cracks me up. But then we found this image, and this seems perfect for right now, this time of year with all the snow that we're having.
I know. So first of all, I think this is so cute. I don't know if this was like made on the ice or if it was legitimately like floating somewhere, but it is really cute.
Yeah. How do you suppose it was made?
I mean, it
I mean,
kind of looks like they cleared snow from all around and built it there.
right on that ice patch.
Don't you think?
Well, I guess that is probably a river, even.
Yeah. And then I think they kind of formed it and built it there. I love do you see the little snowman in the front with his arms up like, "Yeah, this is awesome."
It looks so fun, doesn't it?
I know. It's
I
really
do
cute.
love to walk on the river in the winter, but I'm always nervous. I always like to see other footsteps or activity before I
Mhm.
brave walking out there.
It is kind of scary. It is scary. If you go back to that other picture I sent you, so I don't I was on Facebook the other day for work stuff. I got invited. This group was suggested to me. Now, clearly my computer is listening to me, but this was a suggestion that I joined the kayaking in Wisconsin group. And then, yes, the fact that this was the picture was comical, but I was like, hey, it's winter. I'm not obviously looking for kayaking in Wisconsin at this time. So,
I love in this picture how all of the paddles are bungeed to like the front bumper of the car.
Do you want to know what? I didn't even notice that until just now. Maybe that it helps with weight. Um,
The weight distribution.
weight distribution. It helps, balance out that vehicle. I want to know where they get in the car.
Right.
Like, is the
Well, you know what?
passenger
If you
side?
look at the passenger side, yeah, it doesn't look like the passenger side is blocked. It also looks like the back hatch is open.
You're right. Maybe it's like Wisconsin mail car where the steering wheel is on the right side of the car, a country mail vehicle, and it's like used during the week for mail and then used on the weekends for kayaking.
That's brilliant. I was trying to decide if it really is a vehicle with kayaks stacked like that or if it was photoshopped in some way. But if
Oh,
it's photoshopped, it's really, really well done.
I agree with you. It could be like this was yes, I don't know. The paddles would make it convincing.
Yeah. Yeah. Or is it like a statue that they were making for like a kayak launch point? You know, is there a certain park that you go to? But it looks like it's right in the middle of the drive. So I don't know. This is so mysterious. I love this picture.
So, and anyway, if you are interested in kayaking, there is a group on Facebook for you if you want one.
Very cool. Yeah. I am super interested. But I
Oh,
still don't have a vehicle to transport a kayak, so I got to still work that out. But hey, so this meme popped up for me today. When I was a kid, there were no phones or tablets. We read cereal boxes at breakfast. And I thought about it, and it's totally true, right? Like every kid's cereal box. You would read every panel like all the way through. And I
yes.
don't think that my son like ever did that. I always wondered why. Like there was the cereal box, there were all these graphics, but it's because of the tablets and the phones, isn't it?
Maybe. I mean, there are still some cereal boxes that have things on the back. So, as an example, we buy the Aldi version of Fruit Loops, Fruitios, I think is maybe what it's called. Don't quote me on that. And it has like a word search and different things on the back. So the girls do look at the boxes and read them. Um, but I agree, Mary, they also had prizes in the boxes. So there was kind of an incentive to be interested in the box where I feel like we've gone away from that.
Oh.
Do you remember like digging
Oh,
and rolling the box and
yeah.
trying to shove your hand in? Like you'd have to dump your first bowl of cereal out to get your hand in to try to find it. Thank you, Steve. Fruit rounds.
And it was always a challenge if you weren't the only child, right? Like I had a sibling, so who is going to get the prize?
Yeah. And I feel like when we were little, maybe we each got to pick a box and then that was kind of like you got your prize out of your box, I got my prize out of my box, and then you could after that the cereal was fair game.
After that, nobody cared about the cereal, right?
Yes. But
Cool.
I do think the girls do still look at some of them. The ones that have stuff on, I think they still look at them.
Interesting. Well, and I think
I
too,
don't know.
like
It's a lost art.
it doesn't seem like we pour the cereal and leave the box out either anymore. I feel like when we have cereal, we pour it, but then we just put it right back in the cupboard. I
I think
don't even really pay attention to the boxes.
as an adult, I definitely do that, but it's more so first of all, I don't eat cereal very often. So when I do, it's like a treat. And I think that I do it as a serving limitation to put the box away. Because
Oh.
otherwise I would just like I feel like it's so easy to eat a whole box of cereal. Truth be told.
Are those the
Now,
fruit rounds that you're talking about? You could eat a whole box?
no, I would not choose to eat those. If I in my, elder years, I've really grown fond of Raisin Bran. Boring, it's like old people cereal, I think. Um, but I also do very much like Lucky Charms.
I've been on a Honey Nut Cheerios kick.
Yeah, Honey Nut Cheerios is one of our regular, like if the girls are eating cereal, that's one of the ones they'll eat. But
When I was growing
what
up, it
would
was
you have
Count
picked as a
Chocula.
kid? Yeah, what would you have picked as a kid?
Count Chocula.
Oh yeah, Count
Do you
Chocula.
remember
I
that?
remember that.
Yeah.
Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles always like change the milk flavor. So then you would have like fruity milk or chocolate milk to drink after.
I did love Fruit Loops. One thing I didn't love about Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Pebbles is the flakes were so thin. I felt like if they were in contact with the milk for any length of time, they just like immediately lost their crisp and their crunch.
Yeah, they got
Got a
mushy.
little soggy. Yeah.
The other one that I really liked as a kid, and I think this still exists, was s'mores cereal. So it had these little teeny marshmallows and maybe little pieces of chocolate, and then it had kind of like golden grams in it. And
Oh,
that was really good because the marshmallows would get soft, but the golden grams were kind of coated so they would stay crunchy. And that was also very good.
yeah. I kind of like any of those cereals. Well, I did. I haven't had it in a long time, but that had like the cereal part, but then that had the little marshmallow parts, right? So
Yeah,
like the Lucky Charms and like you're just describing.
right.
Hey, going back to kayaking, Stephen had asked the question. Whoops, nope. Stephen had asked the question, have you kayaked on Lake Michigan? So, Kristen, how long ago was that you and I made that little video where we
I
took the
think it'll be
kayak?
2 year. I think it'll be 2 years in spring.
That was so fun. Two
Now,
years ago.
does
Yeah,
it
I think you're
count?
right.
Does it count that we were in the harbor? We weren't technically, like, it was part Manitowoc River, part Lake Michigan,
Oh,
because it's the meeting of the waters there.
yeah. That's the closest I've ever been to kayaking on Lake Michigan. So, probably, I guess, no.
Right.
Stephen, have you kayaked on Lake Michigan?
Yeah, I feel, well, I mean, you would have to have the right day, right? Because some Lake Michigan can be kind of gnarly some days.
Even in the harbor when there's waves, I mean, you get a little like jostled around, and
Yeah.
I'm like, man overboard, and I don't want to be out of my boat.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I wouldn't, I see a lot of people paddling too on like the stand-up paddle boards.
Yes. Yes. I would love to take so like obviously a couple years ago we took Grace with us when we went out. I would love to go back out now. The other girls are a little bit older. I think it just would be really fun to get out and do that again. It was such an enjoyable experience.
Let's do it this spring.
Let's do it right.
Let's do it. Hey, Raisa said Frosted Flakes, Apple Jacks, Cinnamon Toast Crunch are among her top
Yeah,
faves.
actually, Doug has fond memories of eating Frosted Flakes at his grandpa and grandma's house. That was one of like the special treat things that he got to have at his grandpa and grandma's house was Frosted Flakes.
Is that the Tony the Tiger one?
Yeah, yeah, that, and he got to have Klondike bars there.
I think it was brilliant when we were kids, and a lot of the commercials had cartoon mascots, right?
Mhm.
Because cartoons were only limited to certain times of the day. But so all
Right,
of a sudden, if during like boring grown up TV, all of a sudden there's Tony the Tiger, right? It was so
right.
exciting.
Yeah, now my children laugh at the variety of insurance commercials that are out there. So boring.
Have any of them introduced cool cartoon characters?
No,
Maybe
they've
that's the marketing pivot they need to embrace.
maybe. Lucky Charms does still have cartoon commercials. I'm trying to think if I can think of any others. If you have seen a commercial for any other cereal with characters, cartoon characters specifically, you'll have to
Is
let us know.
Trix still a thing with the rabbit?
I mean, I think the rabbit still exists on the box, but I don't think they like do commercials. The other one
Oh,
I've seen is like the frosted mini wheats. They have the little like they had commercials about maybe a cinnamon toast crunch. I think they had commercials about eating themselves because they were so delicious. It was like the cereal version of cannibalism. I think so. Um, yeah,
Steven, Count Dracula was my favorite.
yeah,
And
yum.
by the way, we had asked Stephen if he had kayaked on Lake Michigan, and he said no, only on Shawnee Lake.
Yeah. So Shawnee Lake's another big inland lake where it can get pretty choppy if it's like windy. Like we last summer had the opportunity to go out on Shawnee Lake in my aunt and uncle's pontoon boat, and even that was pretty rocky. So it'd have to be a calm day.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about like walking on the ice, and I said how I was nervous, and I always like to know if somebody had been there before. And so Jason said that the thing I should do is drive out to Silver Lake and see if the ice fishermen are there.
Yeah.
Because if they're there, they've driven their trucks on the water, and then okay, it is solid.
So I can tell you that they are out. They are ice fishing. There's vehicles and ice shanties on the lake on a daily basis. Um, yeah, I'm guessing Silver Lake is pretty sturdy at this point.
Very
I
cool.
always want, like, I am not a 6 inch of ice kind of girl. Like, I want like 12 inches, and I want to see in the hole, and I want to see that nice, thick ice before I'm prepared to walk on it. Like, I want to know.
Right.
Now, I have snowshoed on frozen lakes up north before, which was really fun. Now, there was like 24 inches of ice. It was very thick. But, you know, we got back into spots where there were springs, and your snowshoe would kind of like crunch in because the water was moving underneath it. And that was always a little bit freaky. But with a snowshoe, if you have one part go in, you have all this other like support around you. So,
Yeah. Well, it's also freaky when you're walking out there and you can hear like the cracking and the settling. Like,
mhm.
okay.
Everything's okay. Yeah. Sturgeon spearing. Yeah. Is that February? I think,
So that's
right?
something they do on the ice. Like that's like an
Yes.
ice fishing
Hmm.
version.
They cut these big. I'm gonna back up. These big. This is not big. They're like 4 by 8. I'm making this up. Steve, you tell me. 4 by 8 foot things, and they chainsaw them out, and they pull the chunk of ice out. So it's like a pool cut into the ice, and then they watch for them to swim by, and they spear them.
What?
Like
That's fascinating.
like indigenous people spearing.
Do you
It's
have any
very
warning that they're about to swim by? I mean, you'd have to be
no.
so like on point,
That's
and
like the
your opportunity
whole
would be so limited.
that's the thing of it is you have to be attentive and you know,
And
it's
then are you able to be by the edge so cutting out a hole that big doesn't like affect the integrity of the ice?
yeah. Yes.
Wow.
But I mean, obviously you couldn't be like have multiple of those holes cut right next to each other. I'm sure they have to be like spread out, but
Yeah.
um
Wow, that's
now I'm
super
gonna
interesting.
now I'm gonna have to do some research on this to find out what are the proper dimensions of a sturgeon spearing hole in the ice. But I do know that they like cut it and they hook it and like pull it out because they can like slide it back in.
Oh, so when they're done, they put the ice block back in?
Yeah,
Huh.
I think so.
Wow. Okay. And sturgeon are huge, right?
Yeah, they're like way longer than our arms can go on screen.
Wow. And so like are they particularly active in February? Is it like the cold is their time?
I don't know. I
I
have
feel
no
terribly
idea.
uninformed about this.
They're a very archaic large fish. They're like sea monsters of Lake Winnebago.
Wow.
Should we ask Surrey how long a sturgeon is?
Sure.
Hey Surrey,
Mm-hmm.
how long is a sturgeon out of Lake Winnebago?
Okay. I found this on the web for how long is a sturgeon out of Lake Winnebago. Check it out.
She's not being helpful today. She'll probably be offended by my
What if you ask the length? What's the length of a sturgeon? A Lake Winnebago sturgeon.
so the longest sturgeon ever caught was 85.5 inches from snout to tail. And it weighed, oh, sorry, it's the 12th largest sturgeon in weight. It was the longest, though, 171 pounds.
So that's like 7 feet. Oh my gosh.
Can you see it?
I can. Huh.
So there
That's
you
why
go.
I get freaked out swimming in lakes sometimes.
I don't think like, I think they're like, they hang out during the bottom in the summer. Like, I don't think they're like nibbling on your feet in the summer. They're also in Lake Winnebago. So, like, I don't think sturgeon are in Lake Michigan.
Oh,
Are they?
really? I
I don't
haven't
know.
I don't know.
We have so many answers we need to get for next week. We're clearly friends, this is clearly a topic Tina and I should not be talking about because we have 0
Yeah.
information.
Hey, Kristen, I have an idea for a show. Let's talk about something we don't know anything about.
And then make everybody else we were much more successful with breakfast cereal today than we are with these sturgeon conversations.
Well, let's pivot. You sent this graphic, and I think that, the bosses we remember, what an important concept of how to treat employees and how to, reflect on bosses that you've had that have made a difference. Tell me what you think about this graphic, Kristen.
Yeah, so I mean, I just like as I'm going into a new year, obviously I do HR consulting and I'm uh my cousin Nicole just said she thinks we should do a live segment from an ice shanty. That would be really fun. I'll see if I can we could do that on Silver Lake maybe. Um so I do HR consulting and I'm working with leaders all the time and recruiting is obviously difficult right now. The labor market's just really tight. And I saw this on LinkedIn and I thought, wow, this is really cool because I think this is like how we retain employees, like doing these things. And so the bosses remember it says provided us a safe place to grow and learn. They opened career doors, right? So they're not just concerned with the here and now, but like how do I develop you long term? They defended us when we needed it. I think that has a lot to do with trust. They recognized and rewarded us. They developed us as leaders. They inspired us to stretch higher, right? So pushing to achieve goals. They led by example. They told us our work mattered and they forgave us when we made mistakes. And I just thought this was so good and kind of a good reflection point as we think about being leaders in 2022. Like, how do we do this for our employees? Or I just saw Risa said she feels like it's applicable to parenting as well. For sure,
Yeah,
without a
great
doubt.
point.
How do we position ourselves to make sure that the people around us are having the opportunities to grow, to develop, to feel recognized, to feel trusted? Like it's really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, that is a great reflection point for going into 2020. And like we just heard, even for parenting, this is great motivation.
Right. And I know, like, just even as I look at all of these things, I think there's some of those that I probably have hit a home run on. And then there's other ones where, like, yeah, I probably need to work on that. Right. So in some ways, this could be like a checklist for you to say, hey, if I'm going to focus my energy anywhere, what have I kind of mastered or what comes really great to me? And then what are some things that maybe I should put a little bit more energy into to make sure my employees or my spouse or whoever, like, feels appreciated and rewarded and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's awesome. And a rising tide raises all ships, right? The better those are around us, the better we all can be.
Right. And I think sometimes leaders think like they're focused on what their responsibilities are, not really realizing that the responsibilities are these things. And when we focus on these and invest in our team, then the team performs really well. And then they just make us look good. And to your point, like if everybody else is having success, you're going to have success too. So, yeah.
And
So
I
there's
think
your
I've noticed
inspiration.
sometimes, there are some leaders, maybe like team leaders, for example, that seem to operate out of a place of fear, right? They're afraid that if they cultivate their like lower team members to succeed in this way, that then, it'll displace them. But that's kind of a mistaken way to look at it, right? Because the more successful their team is, the better they're going to do, and then they won't need to stop at that team leader level, right? Then they'll expand and go on. But
Right.
sometimes it's hard to see that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Getting out of the way of you've got to get out of get out of your own way sometimes and let people have success. And like I said, if your team's all succeeding, then you're all going to be performing well and they're going to make you look good too. And that's a win for everybody.
That's right. Absolutely. Cool, you guys. Well, what a wonderful morning. Thank you so much for sharing it with us, Kristen. I always enjoy having these great conversations with you, even when it's a topic we know nothing about, but now we know something we're going to learn more about.
We'll try.
Everybody,
We'll try harder.
have an awesome week. We will look forward to seeing you next time on Coffee with Kristen and Tina.